And we've been seeing some patterns, but also a lot of variation. So, not surprising we'll see a similar thing here. We're expecting some things when it comes to the bans, and Monty will be the first operator ban. How? This is something that takes me a while back. Vitality actually used to play the Monty quite consistently. Vitality will have the first operator remove on the tag, and it's going to be Capitao. Is it going to be Nomad?
Might be a hard breacher. No, it's a Nomad.
Expected.
Yeah. Banned against joystick, so Nomad has not been banned today. Monty has, so that we have a repeat there. We have another new contender. Vitality will likely ban Echo. Or Valkyrie. Interesting.
Hello.
All right.
Times have changed.
Times indeed have changed. And now it's up to Empire to continue our streak of banning Mira. If not, we'll get to see how she's utilized here. If teams even have Mira strats, it's the better question.
No.
No, not today.
It's a feedback loop.
Correct. An Ouroboros.
As one very intelligent person did say.
Yes.
I think his name is Dostoyevsky. Carl something with an M.
This would not surprise you. I don't know much about Russian history, so...
Really?
That's why I said it would surprise you.
You don't know much about history anyways.
Supposedly, Empire has said that they're going to be running a lot of Mozzie. Gridlock being brought out from Vitality. So this isn't really that much of a surprise that we see right away Mozzie coming out from Empire.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to Vitality, I think it's a very clever choice. I think Mozzie is very situational operator. You don't always really want to run him. There are certain situations where it's just better to run anything else. But when it comes to this bar site, there's very obvious lines of sight or entryways into these locations where being able to shut down drones is a very important positive to have with the pest that Mozzie brings to the table. Now, there's a lot of positions that you can run it as well, and a team like Vitality relies a lot on droning. We've seen it in the past. I think we'll continue to see it in the future. And again, Karzeka bringing the P10 roning, which, in my opinion, doesn't have the best reload animation, but is a pretty darn good and underrated weapon. To be honest, that zero recoil that it has just makes it so fun to kind of just control, and you just feel confident running it compared to the Carbine M4.
So, the question that we're going to ask, Team Empire and Vitality, how strong are they on this map? How much practice have they had? Because one of the best maps for all of Empire in the game was removed in favor of Cafe. It was Oregon. It was probably the best, if not second best map that Team Empire used to play on. Now it's going to be a bit of home field advantage as they are going to be playing in the cold Russian winter of Cafe Dostoyevsky. A home turf for them.
Not the first time the French have tried to go through that. The last time they did, it didn't work out too well. So, Sneaky just checking around from the bottom of the stairs and just will walk away. There's no one to really try to contest on this bottom floor on the way down by the kitchen. But Bibo running the Lion, something we haven't really seen but has been available for 3 now out of our 4 matches. Karzeka will finish him off and even find a second one. That's Dan. Take him out. Sneaky eliminated very early on. Team Empire just accelerate themselves into a massive advantage.
It didn't even look like either of those players were being droned. Bibu and Sneaky were just walking up the stairs all on their own, and they were confronted by members of Empire who were just straight up better in that fight.
Karzeka still watching from below. It seems like the instant they see that they have an opportunity to capitalize on an advantage that they have, Empire will do so. And yeah, you expect this from a team that is currently the Pro League champion, and that's pretty much what they were doing as well during their plays in Milan in the previous Pro League season. Spark watching out, and we'll find the kill on Joystick here. It's a position that you're expecting, but Spark was really able to capitalize on it, and eliminating the Jaeger. Joystick hasn't really had any effect on the round so far, and will cease to do so. Qual looking around for any utility, as the Echo did pass through this ban phase, something that Vitality wasn't historically comfortable with, and one Yokai drone will be taken away.
Scyther was sitting on that drone as well, trying to move it, but couldn't do so in time, and he'll lose it. No more play toy for the Echo as you see Empire all coalesce on the eastern side of the map. You've also got Karzeka down below. He's going to be playing up by the top of those brown stairs, just waiting patiently. I think he's going to lose the angle, so he falls off, and will now head on over. This is exothermic charge, successful. Dan's impact missing and not doing the trick. So that's a successful entry for Vitality, as Empire will continue to move. Farther and farther east the Russians will go. That put Bride in a position to possibly fight against the smoke. It's going to be Qual to do it, though. He'll take out Scyther. Dan immediately refrags. 2 from Dan. That's 3 for him on the board so far. Spark will have to walk through the smoke, but it'll be Shepard, whose toxic canisters are doing work, and the SMG-11 will finish off the rest. Empire will take round number 1 on Cafe.
Rolled down by Empire, and just, yeah, sure, they lost a couple players during the round, but it was really inconsequential. The kill from the Mozzie early on, plus the Legion kind of in coalescence together, is really important to shut down the Ash, which is really your... It really allows you to enter. It's your spearhead of your assault, plus the Lion, something we haven't seen at all being played so far, and it didn't really have any effect on our previous round. Maestro will be the switch here for Karjeka, as realizing maybe that he wasn't really able to grab any of the drones. I'm very curious to see how effective the actual gadget is, because it doesn't really seem to be the case. And I wonder if this is just Empire thinking, okay, well, we're going to Kitchen, so we don't really need that. So that's also another thing to keep in mind.
I was really surprised with how little effort Vitality seemed to put into actually droning themselves in.
Yeah.
Like I said, both Bibu and Sneaky seemed lost. They didn't have any drone escort, at least from what I saw. And maybe that was some Mozzie play that was coming out from Karzeka. Maybe that was just simply Vitality not thinking they needed it. But you have to be very precise against Empire. A team that thrives off of doing the same thing time and time again, yet still manages to beat teams more often than not.
Raise away in position.
Okay, well, we go into the action phase here, and Scyther again on the Echo. He didn't have, again, as much as a bit of utility or utility overall in the round as you would expect him to have. So maybe the change will be in the second round. Legion still on the board, and of course, except for that Maestro change, there really is not much. Spark locking down the outside here, but we'll still see a similar pattern to what other teams are running. One player in the bakery, having, of course, utility from his opponents to support him in the back, and this time it's Joystick on the Jaeger, a player we usually see moving around. EDD will be popped here by the Lion, and we'll call it the Roar at this point. Shepard as well in support. You see him with the SMG-11, also with the shotgun if required. Not going to use any of his canisters just yet. Second EDDs is going to be used. There's players coming in from the back. A pre-fire from Joystick. He'll stay alive. He's got a rotation hole in the back to use. Still wasting a lot of time and dropping one player. It's Diffuser on the floor. He's not sure if it just yet. Joystick will be under fire from 2 angles. We'll get Bibu and spray down the back. He almost takes down 3. Going in for the pop shots, and Dan will take out Sneaky. Diffuser still on the floor. Pickups here from Empire as they just spot everybody maneuvering around on the outside with their Yokai drone. Wonderfully done so far.
I am surprised that flashbang sailed over the head of Joystick, but the frag grenade got caught. That was very interesting to me, and I don't blame Vitality at all for thinking that frag grenade was going to be free, and it would have been a very easy kill onto Joystick, just a simple toss. Who finds his second kill, just sitting behind that bakery, counter, and now it's all up to Qual and Bride, who have the control of the second floor, but Empire has everybody still on the board, and none of them are going to move a single muscle. Except for the Yokai drone. Just scoot on over towards the coat check, and then Vitality will now need to try and meet their makers, as Empire will still just hold these angles. You don't need to commit much if you're Empire at this point. Wait for them to come to you, don't overextend, don't get too aggressive, and then finish out what you started a minute and a half ago.
5 players here on the board, so a lot of firepower available, and Bride has taken a lot of damage earlier on Thermite, so he was picked up. He's down to 20 HP. Karjeka watching the rotation off the desk. Qual will open up the window and then move outside. They're going to try to come in from opposite angles, but every single player from Empire just has his rifle trained at different locations. And the Yokai drone is just giving all the info. They might have lost it there with Bride spraying into it, but Qual is spotted, taken away from the back of Karjeka. As he turns around and watches the hallway, Bride is all on his own. Goo mines everywhere. Anything can kill him at this point. And the Yokai drone is still all around him. He can't do much as Karjeka turns the corner finds the kill. Empire with a flawless round. Vitality, and we'll see another successful defense downstairs in the kitchen.
Actually kind of surprised that Empire decided to go for that kill when they really could have just sat there and waited. They didn't need to commit anything, but they just threw a couple bodies at it, and Brede didn't have enough HP to really do too much, and that's all. Almost all of that round boiled down to Joystick inside of Bakery. That was it.
Yeah.
3 bodies that were taken out of action on Vitality's side of things because they couldn't dislodge Joystick playing behind the counter. Still a little suspect that that frag grenade got caught and the flash didn't, unless he put down the ADS when I wasn't looking, which would puzzle me. But Vitality really needed something more, because they couldn't walk in because they were wary of Shepard, they couldn't walk in because Dan held a cross down as well, and then they couldn't move in because Joystick could have just popped right up. And there are very few people in all of Pro League who you want to fight against than Joystick. He will make you pay time and time again. So, with that said, that's 2 successful defenses for Empire and a flawless round on that last one. They'll push us over to the reading site. Once again, a site that is brand new to Cafe Dostoyevsky if you're just tuning in. And it's seen quite a lot of play. Allows for opportunity on the 3rd floor above it while also keeping a body or 2 below. And as we saw when it was a cocktail defense for Empire, it's going to be a very similar setup from the Mozzie of Karzeka. It's going to use that super shorty, that secondary shotgun, which does soft destruction in a pinch, and open up an awful lot of the floor. In fact, it looks like almost all of Empire is going to be on this 3rd floor, just awaiting Vitality, and it'll be very difficult for Vitality to try to take from above in that case.
So looking at Karzeka and running the Mozzie in this situation, we're going to start to understand that the reason why he's getting played is really the site, and because it just funnels the drones into a specific position. Again, you want to maximize the winningness of an operator in this situation. These are technical terms, you don't have to worry yourself about that. And Bibu will come up here with the drone and watch around. He'll lose it at this point, just walking up the stairs and just running the gridlock with the saw. Now, very different than running the F90. You still have a lot of firepower and a lot of sustainability. And personally, I think it's a better bit of alternative to the F90, but each one has their own style of doing so. It just depends what sort of plays you're really looking for. That scope is so underrated by so many people. It's just so clear and easy and comfortable to use. You run it on Capitao, you're going to run it on Gridlock. You're going to be pretty darn happy with it. Spark trying to recreate what he did a couple rounds ago here just by peeking around the piano. There's nobody there to be found. Joystick is already away and he's found the kill on Qual. Now runs back to White Stairs and will sit on top.
It's a pretty big blow given the lineup that you see on Empire and what an IQ is capable of doing for these teams. Vitality have really struggled to get information and proper footing against Team Empire. It seems like Empire every single time just has a leg up on them when it comes to where they're going to be coming from. And Joystick will see and hear the tracers go by him, and he knows he's in a position with this pile of lumber that somebody could possibly push from the corridor, heading on over from the bathroom. There might be intel there, there might be a yokai drone, who knows, maybe Mozzie even has a drone of his own. It's hard to tell, but if Joystick just swings too wide, he'll find himself being taken out by Bibu. With that saw, as you noted, he'll be traded off though, as Karzeka's C4 finds Sneaky, so 2 of the entry fraggers for Vitality will fall, as only 1 roamer for Empire will. But with that, the clock will disappear. Only 40 seconds left, and Bibu will swing on in. Spark has been downed and finished off by an impact grenade, and that'll leave Bibu and just Brede, but oh, there goes Bibu, and Bride's gonna try to do his best. He'll take out 1 as Scyther's felled, but he'll need to be able to capitalize off of that, and 2 members of Empire are watching. You can see the mark. They know exactly where Brede is. He's not going to be able to make it out alive, as you said, it's Dan. And down goes Brede. 3 rounds for Empire so far, and they are not slowing down.
Every time somebody says it's Dan, I just have Dare, like,
it's Dare.
It's Dare, and it just plays. And somebody made that video and tweeted it at me, and I'm like, that is the most hilarious thing ever. For 2 weeks constantly, I ended up laughing over it. It frustrated some people that spend a lot of time around me. But it was completely worth it because it was super fun. So very well done. I don't care. But here you are. A lot of work and a lot of effort put in here by Empire, and it doesn't really seem that Vitality are able to figure out the flexibility and the way that Empire have been just maneuvering around the map constantly. I mean, the big power as well in that vertical site on top of the bar. You run the Mozzie, you have the Roni, you have the ability to shut down the drones, plus the fact that you have C4, and it's really not to be neglected. The Nitro Cell did quite a bit of work there, but it can do even more.
I mean, one thing that could possibly be thwarting Vitality is that through the 2 active rounds that we've seen, now 3, I suppose, even though we haven't gotten this one really underway, is the fact that the Mozzie of Karzeka could be stopping the drones from getting through key choke points. Whether it's capturing the drone or not, as an attacker, you get a notifier that there is one of those little Mozzie spiders, the pest launcher, somewhere nearby. And at that point, most people are going to try to turn their drone away because they don't want to risk losing it, providing a very valuable tool to those defenders. Because of this, it's very likely that Vitality might be information-starved just from shrewd placement from Empire. But we need to have a closer look at exactly where Karzeka employs those 3 pest launchers, because so far, 15 seconds into live action, and he hasn't slung a single spider just yet.
I think he's just trying to check where Vitality will be coming from. In this assault, we're kind of expecting them to come in just from hatches, use them to their advantage. I think he's just pre-firing through it to try to find maybe someone on the side of the balcony by Cigar. There's nobody through there. And a lot of breaching charges as well being brought by Vitality. Spark as well here to open up the hatches that we have, and will be very successful in doing so. I think Vitality are going to keep doing the same exact thing, which is, okay, well, the instant we have the hatch and we open up the side of the wall, let's try to look through in case somebody is in piano, and we can deal with that. And I don't really know if that's going to work at any point in time against Empire. I really like the use here of the tracks. They'll push Joystick back for just a bit, but he's got the support of Karzeka, as is tradition.
This is very interesting because if you look back at Vitality historically, they don't get into the building anywhere near this quickly, and they certainly don't provoke a fight this quickly either. But they've been a bit too quick, I think, in that quickness, which is very uncharacteristic of the way that they used to play. They changed it up quite a bit and did hasten their pace inside of Challenger League. But in the meantime, it's still so out of the ordinary to see that. And it's not exactly working out all the best, because it allows Empire to reposition and then just simply wait. And that's exactly what's happened now. Joystick is going to sit in the same location for 40 seconds of this round, and he's going to get some covers. There goes the very first pest from Karzeka. It's going to go right in front of Joystick in case they try to drone him, and it actually catches it. So that's a tool now that's on Empire's side that they can use to try and find the members of Vitality. It's both Karzeka and Joystick together to get that very first kill. It's Karzeka actually who will be credited with it, playing inside of that train car in between both mining and dining.
Joystick now rotating up to the top floor. Oh no, he's gonna, oh, he's right next to him, the Thermite on the drone. And just pre-fires through. Bride will take half a bullet to his back, and so many targets presented to Joystick. He'll hit Spark and drop him very down low, and Bride now is on 50 HP, and you see the drone in control of Karzeka. As now it's the defense that's in control of it, just gonna walk around and drone things out as you do in Season 10. Still a lot of damage done. Karzeka with a C4 to connect. Spark eliminated. And Qual with one Bride, a nice headshot on a Den. 3v3, but 12 seconds left. This is where time slows down historically for Vitality. Plant is not in just yet. Qual will find one as they all dive onto the site. Scyther is off of his drone. Qual with a triple kill here. Shepard trying to stop the plant, but he has no idea where his opponent's all. He's have to rotate. Run from behind by Cigar, and this might just be the round. The Vitality net, and yes, Pibu turns around. And with the 249, we'll take down Shepard. Vitality trying to stem the bleeding. We'll get the first round on the board.
And that just simply looked like in this time, Empire didn't know where anybody was. Qual continuously evading all the information that Empire had at their disposal, and a nice triple kill. A 3K in that round in particular, in order to just cut everybody down, including some very impactful kills, while Bride was exposed and vulnerable in the middle of that plant for 7 seconds. Qual doing excellent work, taking out Joystick, and then immediately targeting Scyther as well. 2 incredible members of Empire when left on their own and left to their own devices. And it's a motivator for Vitality, too. It came down to the wire, and realistically, Vitality with 3 operators still alive, a couple of them taking quite a beating. It could have gone either way if Empire had hit 1 or 2 different shots. But ultimately, that was the most coordinated we've seen out of Vitality.
Yep.
They didn't take the bait. They seemed to drone quite effectively. Empire didn't really know how to react when Vitality started to push, and then Empire lost every single gunfight because Vitality had the information. I mean, a couple more of those if they want to be able to keep this close, because Empire so far on those first 3 rounds, they didn't make it look that difficult for the rest of their team.
No. And in the previous round, I think Empire were not expecting the clock to run down so deeply into the end of the round. We weren't really sure when, if Vitality will actually make a move. But this just, I think, is just a symptom of not having played against Vitality either in a long time or not that often. This is something we discussed in the pre-match phase. And it's something that's completely normal. It's something you learn over time. But Empire got over-aggressive in the last 15 seconds, allowed Vitality to get 2 kills off, and then reduced the manpower of the Russian team until Vitality had the momentum to push onto the Saturn plan at the end. 10 seconds for Vitality is pretty much 2 years in normal human terms.
What's that old saying? It's like an hour is a week in politics or something like that?
Hours a week in Vitality pushes.
That is absolutely correct. So even though Vitality has really quickened the pace as of late. Here's the trouble for Vitality. You had no answer to where Joystick is playing behind the bakery this time, but taking Shepard out of the equation will put Joystick in a position where he won't have the same crossfire, and he is now eminently more vulnerable and will need somebody on his team to try and help him.
Bibu still watching on the rotation here. We've seen quite a bit of play with Zofia with the LMG. We've seen a lot of LMG play in general, but it's just not the case here today for Polish Shop. Trying to snipe the player playing behind Bakery, but it's not in there. Joystick has moved a bit further away. There's no information here to support, and there you go. He'll put himself back in the same position as before. Sneaky kind of running the Jackal to outplay any sort of roam game that Empire have in their mind. It's something that Vitality have had to play against round after round with the Mozzie specifically, but maybe we'll find another one. Joystick taken away. This is a big advantage here for Vitality, and just all the question of how will they capitalize on this, because Dan is pushed up pretty close to his opponents. This might be a big surprise.
There's an Echo drone taken out as well, so Scyther will only have 1 tool left. There's still Evil Eyes on the board. Those will be incredibly useful over the next minute for Empire, as Dan will just sit and wait. I like this change from the Jackal. Onto the Jackal, you'll find 1 footprint, but no, Dan gets really aggressive. Almost gunned down, looking for another. He'll do quite a bit of damage to Bride, lighting him up with the artillery of Karzeka behind, but Bibu will push on in, and Dan will fall, leaving Scyther now to have to come and do some work, because it'll be all on the shoulders of Karzeka, with utility not as handy as it was earlier in the round. Still possible to frag well. Scyther is somebody who has never shrunk under pressure. He's got 4 members of Vitality, along with him and Karzeka, to possibly gun down. But there's 30 seconds left, and Vitality's going to have to push in at some point. Utility going in. It's a bit belated. Exothermic charge will go off, and it'll be an easier waltz on in. But you can see, Scyther will know that there's one nearby as Qual smashes away at the barbed wire. Doesn't do a ton of damage, but he'll take the Jackal out. Sneaky will fall. Qual trades him back with Karzeka waiting. Diffuser goes down, and Karzeka will have to move on out. And he'll do just so. Waiting and watching the wall. He's got a kill hole available if he needs it. He'll ponder on up, but this was an angle that he was using before. He didn't see anybody on the other side of it. He might not know where the diffuser is either, as nobody from Vitality is going to take the bait. The Alda does an awful lot of damage, and Vitality don't have a ton of HP, so this is very winnable for Karzeka. He's been somebody who's been able to carry Empire before, but he's running out of time, and 1 bullet will give his position away. Vitality might think he's coming from the other angle, but he'll switch sides. He'll come over, he'll examine the thermite hole, but there's a drone on him, and Bride will have all the information in the world, as there's no opportunity for Karzeka to get out of that kitchen. And on his belly, will Army crawl his way. And just a single tap with a beautiful shot, and this gap will close again, as Vitality picks up their 2nd round in a row.
Not too shabby. Now we've been seeing more attacking rounds winning on Kitchen. It definitely has been more back and forth than we would have expected it, at least from what the initial responses have been to the site in the very few qualifier matches that we had for the Raleigh Major over the past weekend and really the week. So that said, 3-2, still advantage for Empire, and they're going to go to Cocktail Lounge, so something that has worked very effectively for them 1 out of 2 times, I guess, at that point. Mozzie is going to be played again. So Karjika has definitely been doing a lot of work, and looking at Empire and how they really run things throughout the match, they kind of learn very quickly from their opponents' mistakes and their, well, good performances. So it wouldn't surprise me if Empire are not pushed anymore to react to Vitality should the round get to its final moments. So definitely something to look forward to if we get to it. Maybe Empire will be the instigators of aggression earlier on, as they have been very consistent.
Vitality have a chance to keep this one a lot closer than it sure looked through 3 rounds, as this will be the final defensive stead for Empire before we kick in. Vitality will move on to defense. Empire changing things up, but they'll still presumably be running an ACOG, and there you go. You see it on the shotgun that's being brought by Dan. Basically a DMR at this point. It fires a singular slug, and it's very easy to hit a headshot at long range with it and be able to fell your opponent in 1 shot, even though there's a great distance between you and them. For Vitality, they switched off of the line and they've gone with more destructive capabilities, but they're also bringing Sneaky on a Blackbeard. And I wonder if this is because Sneaky hasn't had the best game. You throw him on Jackal, you have him Jackal track, and you give utility to the rest of the team, that information as to where the defenders are going to be. And because of the fact that you're tracking the defender, it doesn't matter if it's Sneaky capitalizing on that information. As long as somebody does, it's helpful. You've now put him on Blackbeard, which is going to give him a fighting chance if somebody pops up and tries to take his head off, because that rifle shield is going to stop him. It also allows him to play the roof hatch from above and possibly eat a fair bit of bullets before he gets taken down.
Spark on the top of the hatch, and just Empire looking around for potential runouts. And Joystick, as usual, will try to toy with his opponents and just create a lot of noise, a lot of hustle and bustle, and really push them back. Fire through the boards there in Cigar, and remember that entire wall is just wood, so you can get shot and tap through it. As we've seen even in our previous matchup between Lustream and Chaos on one of the assaults that Lustream had from Cigar into the cocktail bar. So finally a drop down here from Vitality, and they'll have an entryway into the piano room. But not all of their players are around. Qual is watching for rotations down from the red hallway, and he will be moving into piano, taking control of that. But there's a lot of soft walls, scanning for utility, making sure that there's nothing really hiding behind them, and there's an Echo going to keep tabs. Now, the entire wall here into the bathroom is unreinforced because the reinforcements are really being set inside of the freezer, and they really here Empire really want to force their opponents of Vitality with Bride to walk very close to them, to the wall in either side of these positions, to be able to enter into it. Now Bride will have one angle here to open up, and oh no, the thermite charge was taken away. The Tila from Dan will hit perfectly, as with the wall being set the way it is, you can previously use the Electro Claw and really shut down both of the angles. Just a breaching charge here to try to open up into the cocktail bar, but Joystick is already hot on everybody's heels. Is right up behind. He'll find 1 kill. He'll find 2. Joystick with a double kill. Bride and Spark taken away. Finally shot down, but Karjika already connected to Qual. A 4v2 as Bibu find 1 on Karjika on the rotation. 7 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser's all on its own on the opposite end here by the entrance to Cigar. Nobody has control of it. Pre-fire into the Zofia, and Bibu taken away. Shepard wonderfully done with the SMG-11, just watching in from Freezer, and that's the entire round going the way of Empire.
A bit too slow, and the diffuser falling as well, as you saw the Zofia try to run in at the last second to get that diffuser down, but just couldn't do it. And it was really well done from Empire to be able to keep Vitality at bay. Big part of that is you got Joystick living rent-free inside of your head as Joystick moves over and gets 2 kills just inside a Cigar because there was nobody watching from Vitality's side. A bit too slow, I'm sure, for their liking. And Empire took every opportunity to punish them for that hesitation and lack of knowledge. With that said, we're going to switch sides. Vitality will now move on to defense. They'll start downstairs in Kitchen. This has been one of the most popular sites on the entire map. It'll take some time until we flesh out exactly what the meta is when it comes to Cafe, even though so far it has been Cafe Day today, and we have had non-stop Cafe play through our 4 matches.
Yeah. And this is really an extensive beta test.
I mean, you have to keep rebuilding Cafe after every single round today. It is quite expensive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've never been to Moscow personally, but looking at how this place was built, if this is the Russian equivalent of a cafe, this is very impressive. I don't know. Have you ever been to a Russian tea house?
No, I've never been to Russia.
No, well, you can go to a Russian tea house in other places.
I've never been to a Russian tea house in another country.
Okay. You have to change that.
One day.
Yeah, you still owe me for Paris. There's $200 for a drink, so pay a flight to go somewhere.
Yes, I know. That value keeps increasing every time.
It's interest for every event.
I said I'd buy you 2 drinks. That was $100 to me. The joke about how,
But it's actually true. It's like very expensive. It's not that expensive, but it's still pretty expensive.
well,
That aside. Expensive things aside.
I was going to say, whether you're going to an actual Russian tea house or not, as we look back on Empire's defense, it really did come down to Vitality on some rounds being too aggressive and on other rounds being simply too slow.
Yeah. And really, in this case, Vitality with Qual running the Ala, it's going to be a very, very interesting pick to play with. I'll use caster generic term 101. Very interesting, because you really don't know how it's going to be played. We saw Ela being played once before by Aces, by Atlas team, so there definitely is a lot of effectiveness that she can offer, but you're not really sure of how it'll pan out just because of the recall that it has. There you go, the Legion first operator eliminated. Bibu not really having the hottest of games so far.
No, Bibu was playing a little bit too aggressively, I think, over towards that window, just by the mining area, and well, it's an upside-down repelled Scyther to be able to do the work that was needed of his team, and Scyther hasn't exactly been needed as effectively in the past as when Shockwave was still on that team, as it's been Dan who has just led the way on a number of occasions here and is having a pretty great day to begin with, up there with Karzeka as well. Empire's looking for yet another kill as the marks will come out, and Joystick was very patiently waiting, but he pulls the trigger a little bit too early. Anticipating a possible impact grenade or a C4 there from Bride as it goes out. Oh! He'll take a tiny bit of Shepard's HP away, but that'll be it. Shepard might actually still have the impact grenade on the board as well. Whether that exothermic charge goes off or not, we'll await the sound, and it will be successful. That'll be the other exothermic charge used, both in similar positions. One was on delivery and the other now under the back of the freezer wall. But you've got the Mute playing very tight. Bride could possibly be flushed out from the pressure above of Empire, but they're going to have to do some more work with that soft destruction. As Empire now edges their way ever closer to the site, they're still fully alive. Vitality will hang on for the time being as Qual's position hasn't been given away, and Sneaky will be able to drop Scyther, putting us back at 4v4. Down will go Shepard. 2 blasts of the shotgun, with Joystick now waiting and engaged. Qual finished off by Karzeka, and it's an absolute slaughterhouse for the time being.
Joystick moving in, and from the back will find Spark. Spots the second out as well. Dan turns around to find it. Bride will be traded off. Now, a 2v1. The diffuser's not been set just yet. Sneaky will be spotted as it gives away his position behind the A-bomb site. Turning around, diffuser being set. It's right behind B there, very much covered by the walls. Diffuser's going to be set, pre-fired in. Sneaky will find one. That's a double kill for him. Karzeka will have to deal with him. And it's a 1v1 with nothing left. Sneaky turns around, and what a play. He finds the head of Karzeka, and Vitality will sneak the round from under their opponents. 9 rounds left in the magazine. The 4-16. Sneaky showing his previous Pro League experience. Just keeping calm under fire.
That's a good clutch performance against Karzeka, and I think Karzeka expected him to stick it instead of having the Jaeger swing wide around the door. I mean, that's exactly what the 416 does, though, right? It held the title of probably being the best defensive weapon for quite a long period of time. It's maybe somewhat been replaced when the Scorpion was in play from Ela, and then maybe got replaced with the Alda, depending on the way you look at it, though. I think a lot of people want to have the 416 in their hands instead of the Alda. It doesn't really matter. That thing's going to chew through you. It does high damage, great rate of fire, and it packs a punch at close range. So, for Vitality, you've now kept the gap real close, 4-3, but it's a hero effort that gets you to that point. It wasn't necessarily better structured. It was just one player simply getting the best in a 1v2. And it's not always sustainable. We say it an awful lot. To be able to prevail in a 1vx situation time and time again. For Sneaky, he doubles his kill count, and they're 2 huge kills while also getting the disable on that diffuser, basically doing it all. And this time, he's going to be back on the Jaeger, but he's going to be running the M870. That is correct. You do hear the sounds, the telltale GS G9 shotgun, which I would imagine He's likely going to play behind this deployable shield and benefit off of anybody from Empire who tries to swing on him as he just swung on them last round.
I think that would be pretty hilarious to watch, to be honest. Very impressive as well. I mean, if you're walking in as Empire, you'll probably see that and predict it. We've seen a lot of excellent droning from Empire in general. So I wonder if this is going to work, but if it does, then kudos to Sneaky, because he's already done quite a bit of work in the previous round. In my clutch, maybe Empire getting a bit over-aggressive at the end, expecting a rush, catching him off guard. There he goes, he's going to be spotted, pistol out. Oh, Dan! He finds the kill all the way through the wall. And there you go, no M870 left.
That is tough, because that could have been a very integral part of your strategy that's now been removed from the equation. Single rounds can be lost by one incredibly important part of your strat dying early. And now there might be another with Dan with this impressively long angle. He'll take out Bibu, who will need a revive at some point, but Dan will just simply wait for a possible bait as the rest of his team will drop now and look to see if somebody's possibly coming to Bibu's rescue. For the time being, Bibu's just going to relay information as best as he can, being a human drone and just lie prone, dead, essentially, inside a cigar as Dan will swing on in, and Piano will be in firm control of Empire. Spots the foot of Bibu and can finish him off, and he'll do just that. It's 2 kills for Dan to start things off. 90 seconds in, 90 seconds to go, and Empire in full control.
Still distance here for Vitality to try and win this back. The Ella of Qual has taken a decent chunk of damage early on, and you're expecting somebody to be at the opposite end of those white stairs. Bride will double down here to have 2 guns pointed down the hallway, as they have Spark on the Maestro, just locked down opposite angles. Now the wall will be opened up into the freezer, and this should force the Legion back to play in that position. Katajik out waiting for any sort of rotations later on in the round. Just because you have that extra manpower, you can afford to put yourself in power positions just like that. Joystick with 1 more on the Spark, and Qual eliminated as well. All up to Bride as Dan is just collecting the kills. Finally, that's the extra headshot here. Swinging wide. Skajeka on the Bride, and it'll finish him off. Round number 8, excellent from Empire. It seems like their attack into Cocktail, as well as their defense, has just been very well planned.
Yeah, and I mean, once you take out that wall from Piano and the setup that Vitality had, there was no coverage over on the Cocktail side. There's no coverage over towards White, because if you just stand there with one body from Empire, you get all of that cover inside of the bar back storage and then over towards Cocktail as well. Very challenging for a defender to be able to maneuver around when they don't have the safety of a reinforced wall, even a soft wall to conceal their position. So what happens? Empire drops. They take control of Piano really early, and I just don't think Vitality expected Dan to be on rappel there. I don't think they expected that we would see somebody get flushed out that early, which ended up being Sneaky, who was running the M870. And I gotta say, maybe there was a greater strategy for Vitality that we didn't see, and maybe what I'm about to say is going to sound silly. No. But I feel like we see an awful lot of Bandits and Jaegers run M870s on different sites, and almost every time we say to ourselves, they wouldn't have lost that if they didn't have the shotgun. So credit goes to Empire if they read into the fact, if a drone spots the fact that the Jaeger has a shotgun, hey, don't provoke a fight at close range, we'll lose. Credit goes to Empire for possibly being able to take out Sneaky from a longer range, but then also, we've seen it from the stream. We've seen it from teams in Latin America. We've seen it from teams in North America, especially on Bank, when you have either a Jaeger or a Bandit running that M870, and every time we have the benefit of hindsight to just turn around and say, well, you know, maybe if you had the MP7, or, well, maybe if you had the 416, things would have gone a little different. I think that was the case there as well. Who really knows? Like I said, there might have been a strategy for Vitality we didn't see.
In that situation, I think it was even more. I'll double down on your point, but I'll also add to it the fact that it was kind of an exposed position, and really the angle from Piano window is something that you kind of should be expecting, right, just by watching it from here. Again, we have the ability to look back at things and see how they are, but the instant the drone spotted Sneaky behind the shield, he got shot from the Piano window. So there was a lot of planning that was being done by Empire, independent of the fact of the M70 existing or not. But there you go. We have the power of hindsight, which is...
We always do.
It's my favorite power to have as a superhuman person, I guess.
It's your superhero trait.
Yes. Captain Hindsight.
Well, with Empire's position, they're going to do basically the same thing last time around. There's going to be a drone that'll scoot on out. Dan will hopefully try to find somebody. As you see multiple marks in front of him, he can possibly capitalize, but for the time being, no. Instead, he'll open up one of the walls with a breaching charge and move on over towards White Hallway before thinking otherwise. No, still waiting. There's somebody standing on those lumber piles just waiting for Dan, but he's staring down towards the stairs. And if he doesn't look up, it'll be up to Sneaky to be able to take this away from Dan. A beautiful shot from Sneaky, who almost pays for it with all of his HP, but he's still above 20 life. See the tracers and the bullets through the wall next to him as he waits very patiently to see if somebody else is going to aggress. It'll be Joystick, but Vitality stopping Empire every step of the way. Shepard will do his best to try and keep it close as he takes Sneaky down. There wasn't too much left of the Jaeger, so it doesn't take a lot of bullets out of the hands of the gun of Zofia. Scyther waiting to see if there's somebody else over by Cocktail. Empire have really struggled to take control of this third floor, even though the bomb site is on the second floor. Shepard will need to translate all the success they've had down below, which hasn't been very much. Hit the telltale signs of a C4 tear, and Shepard manages to evade it as it goes off right next to him. Qual has the benefit of the marks. He jumps on in. Scyther will be the better one there, as now we have 30 seconds to go, and both teams can take a deep breath.
But for how long? It's not going to be too deep of a breath, to say the least. Bide is downstairs, and damage has already been done to Zofia. So Shepard, I mean, yeah, sure, you're still at full HP, but you're diving into your opponents that have a shotgun pointed at your face. Your full health advantage kind of gets nullified in that situation. 10 seconds left. It's not a position that Empire are really too comfortable with. They're still playing away from it. They have one player down on the floor. Scyther will have to drop it and maybe go for some sort of plant, but the diffuser is in the hands of the Thermite, and they're way too far off. They took way too long here, Empire, to come in. Just uncomfortable with the time management, as it's the opposite of kind of what we've seen from Vitality. And we'll get to round number 10. Still advantage for Empire, but this is cutting it very, very close.
Yeah. What did look to be a snowball for Empire in the first 3 rounds has tightened up considerably, with Vitality taking 4 of the next 6 rounds. And that's the scoreline that we have at the moment. And you have to give a lot of credit to the way that the Vitality have played. Whether Cafe ends up being attacker-sided or defender-sided is something that we can look back on once we have enough of a sample size of Cafe, maybe 20 times being played, etc. And then we can get a better look at, okay, what was the trend through these 4 playdays? And it'll actually be very interesting to go back and look at them and assess them through the lens of Cafe in the later portion of the season. But for the time being, Vitality's usage of their information has been very good. Same with Empire, though. How many times were members of Vitality being pinged time and time again by Empire, and yet Empire were not able to do all that much with it through the last round? A part of that is hesitation on Empire's part. Dan, in particular, was very wary of presence from somebody on Vitality playing on White Stairs, and because of this, he wasn't able to get over to the lumber area where Sneaky wasn't. By the time he did, a couple missed shots from Dan were all the difference that was made between him and Sneaky winning that fight. Ended up being, in favor of Sneaky, and Vitality were able to go from there. And I think Empire responded by being a bit too aggressive, pushing a little bit too much to try and make up for the fact that Dan fell. Fight for the refrag, fight for the trade, and when you can't do that, you end up playing sloppy, and Vitality was prepared for that at every step of the way.
This yokai setup is really going to work very well for Vitality. It's worked for both teams, right? You're playing downstairs in the kitchen. You have the Jaeger, really any player that you want to put behind the bakery counter. You put him in there. You have your yokai drone to support as well. It's just very, very effective. And Empire have had to play against the Jackal themselves, but they're running it fairly consistently with Joystick on the board forward. So if it can scan around and finish off any of the roam play that Vitality have in store for Empire, that's definitely going to ease Empire's way into the site. Even a few rounds ago, when Empire were on the offensive on this very site, they're still able to open up the wall and go in for the plant, but 2v1 and lost there. So it wasn't a great position. So Vitality, you cannot ever count them out until the round very much says it is over. Smoke is going to be thrown in to limit the extra bit of line of sight that's available for Vitality. Scyther taking a lot of damage from the back. It'll pre-fire into the mute. Already one player down. Bide will finish him off. And Sneaky had already been taken away here by Joystick. Just looking around. He's got his teammates as well to support for the assault. The Mute's kind of solo all the way in the back. Pre-fire from Joystick. Bibu taken away. The Mute's getting spotted and pinged the entire time. And Dan is trying to peek. Spark will find one. Is that the timing that they need? Dan will find one, but Spark with a refrag, and it's suddenly down to a 2v2.
This is all coming down to Spark just holding one angle and nobody seemingly aware of the Echo's position. And because of this, he's able to capitalize on every opportunity that Empire has while going after another member of Vitality. It's a good crossfire that's been established here. And he's in trouble now, though, because he appears to be a Yokai drone, and Karzeka doesn't see him at the last second. He actually looks like he missed all of his bullets onto the Echo, but they know his general whereabouts now. And you can continue to put pressure on him from above. It'll be Karzeka to do that, as Shepard will have to tackle the site with only 50 seconds to go. Can't actually shoot through that floor, Karzeka. You can't smash through it either. The problem that Empire is going to have is that there's still Yokais in play, and then you're going to have Qual, who will continue to just get closer and closer to the site. As Ela, that's where you're going to thrive. In a position right now where the moment somebody puts themselves in your crosshairs at about 5 to 10 feet away, there's almost no way that Ela's not walking away with that kill. 30 seconds left. A drone will find the Echo, and they'll have to make quick work of him. A Gumayan will hit. In fact, 2, as Karzeka's advance will be slowed. Shepard waiting to see if the Echo will take the bait, but there's nobody looking, at least for the time being, as Shepard just stares longingly, aware that he's going to have to jump in, and he'll be very vulnerable. The Echo will push out of the way. Oh, but they're missing both of them, all of their bullets. It appears that Spark has been downed, so Qual will now need to do all this work. Ping's coming out, waiting to see if he can spray through the wall, but the diffuser's going down, and a grenade sails in over his shoulder. He'll wait for it to blow up, not cooked at all, to try and buy as much time as possible, as Qual will need to try and rescue his teammate, but he won't look to the right. It's both Shepard and Karzeka to finish this off, as Spark lay helpless, trying to assist his teammate, but 1 point will go on the board for Empire. As it appeared, they'd lost control of that round, only to regain it. So we're back into the driver's seat at the last second.
These back freezer attacks have not been that effective for Empire. Twice used, once won. They put a diffuser down in both situations. And they're always in 2v1 advantage positions, and yet they come so close to losing and or winning it. It's not something that has been too done and cleared out correctly here for the team. And it's very possible that we'll see this improved upon in the future. We'll remind you again, for everybody watching at home, this is the first evening that we get to see Cafe be put back into the competitive rotation for map pool here in Pro League in pretty much a year at this point. So it definitely has been a while, and it's a completely different map. So teams aren't really too adapted to it. They haven't really played against one another in preparation for this matchup because, well, teams have known that they were going to play one another in this position for around a couple weeks now. So the scrims and everything that have happened have kind of died off between your day 1 and 2 opponents, just so there's no preparation possible for it against them. So again, Vitality, they'll go up to the top floor, a site that Empire have been very effective at defending and attacking. But the Echo from Spark has been so instrumental in the previous round, even if it didn't net the victory at the end of it.
This could be our third 7-4 in a row, as it was Lestream 7-4 over Chaos, Navi 7-4 over Penta, and Empire looking to do the same thing to Vitality. No draws so far today. You like to see how close some of these matches have been, because Europe always tends to be an extremely competitive region. It doesn't matter what teams represent them in Pro League, in the finals. They always do well together, and they always do well against one another. The exception of course, the G2 Mouse matchup. Other than that, so far, we've been treated to 3 exceptional matches here on Cafe. Exceptionally close matches, I should say. And Empire will do the same thing. Unsurprising, given the way that we know Empire likes to play. Dan will be on this piano rappel, just watching the window. Whether he's upright or whether he's right side up. He's likely going to have Joystick drop through Red Hatch and try and assist him in some capacity. Attempting to flush out the one member of Vitality who is being jackal-tracked for the time being, but nobody's going to take the bait. Great patience here from Vitality. The problem is that if you have 2 bodies looking in separate directions, then it could be very problematic. There's also 2 deployable shields that will stop every member of Empire from being able to shoot somebody, and Bibu pops right up, and down goes Dan like a clay pigeon. Shot off the wire. Oh, what a shot from Bibu! There are very few who can land that, and Karzeka gets absolutely punished through the garage wall. Take a victory lap, Bibu. You earned that one.
So much work and damage being done. He will indeed have the time to kind of relax and sit back. And Joystick will be able to take him out, but for the Claw, it's more than enough work that has been done. He already has his utility, the Electric Claw, deployed by Piano, from what we've been able to see so far. Shepard just trying to burn any ADSs in the back. Joystick looking down. And a similar thing here for Empire. If the round doesn't say it's over, then it can definitely bring this one back. And there's still a similar position for Sneaky with that Jaeger just playing behind her, a deployable shield in Cigar. It's a powerful position, but Qual will peek around. Bring the Ela again, and on the run-in, Sneaky will turn around and find Joystick. Last up is Scyther, and he's going to try to recover that diffuser, but he has no angle to play against Sneaky, and the instant he drops, he'll be heard, and a quick headshot from Sneaky will dispatch Scyther. Round 11 taken by Vitality, and we're a round away from a draw.
It's been both Qual and Sneaky who've really shown up big over the last couple rounds, and Sneaky needed to do so for his team to have a fighting chance, and a fighting chance is exactly what they've gotten. So hats off to him for his play. A bit of a suspect choice when he was on the M870 Jaeger, but since then it's been Sneaky excelling in every way. He's been playing fragging roles. He needs to frag on them. Full stop. And if you can't do that, well, then you have to find somebody who can, or you need to move him onto a role where he can do well. And so far today, he's put in a much better performance than he did on a lot of Challenger League matches, and he has excelled over the last couple rounds. And because of this, his team now has an opportunity to be our very first draw of the season, and possibly our very first draw in Cafe. Empire want to put the full points on the board, as nobody has drawn yet or drew yet. So because of this, you fall behind. And being behind is not something that Empire is accustomed to, not by any stretch of the imagination. With these performances over the last couple rounds as well, it's worth noting that Sneaky has taken the lead in terms of frags on his team. Still, all of Vitality lags behind the heavy hitters of Empire in terms of kills, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many kills you get. The victory is what's matter, or in this case for Vitality, the draw and the chance to get 1 point.
So, all things change here for Vitality. Again, you mentioned how Reading Room has really been a staple site compared to what we've seen previously with Train or the Museum. So, I guess the new changes have very well been accepted by the community. I've seen even Fabian is applauding the changes, so that's just quite a bit in my mind. So, Bibu playing downstairs by the pillars here in the open area. Joystick rappelling up, who has Shepard and Scyther as well. That'll help. They'll have to clear up the top floor before attacking to the bottom side of the map. Joystick again on the Jackal. We've seen him play so many different ops in the past. Nomad, but she's banned here. No Capitao in play, very oddly here. And no, you can't scan that. It's a bit too far away, Joystick. You really need to have one right under you or try to dive down into it. That's the only way to get it.
He was getting pretty close, though.
Yeah, it's like a half meter away, but it's like, can he just like take it off of his head? There you go. He finds it.
And it's going to be the Ela that it looks like he's tracking, at least for the time being. There's a soft wall just behind Qual, if that ends up indeed being the Ela, which sure looks like it from the silhouette. Exothermic charge going off, and somebody on Vitality is likely going to need to move as their position will be given away. And Qual will continue to be on the run, being tracked over and over and over again. He's going to stay in Cocktail. He's not going to possibly put himself in any danger. He knows he can't rotate under that skylight, and there could be somebody watching as well over by the lumber area. But Joystick, who's on Repel, will be victim to Bibu, who will try to get back inside in time, whether there'll be a refrag or not, or whether Empire will allow them to get back in play. Bibu will have no worries at all, as it's Sneaky and Dan coming to loggerheads. As Bibu will once again run out, and this time he'll go through the bakery downstairs. So, heading on over towards the dining area, he has brown stairs at his disposal, and he can try to head towards that second floor and maybe watch the skylight as all the rest of Empire will decide to join the fight. They've opened up some way over towards that back storage area and can now look down to Cocktail as well. With just a minute to go, we're in our very final round. It's do or die for Vitality if they want to be able to get a draw here and secure themselves 1 point.
So, Karzeka will try to walk on in here. He's in control of the freezer, but it's so difficult for Empire to attack when there's so many CQC operators that are set up in this position. Grenade uncooked will just force the Elo away. Scyther and Karjika will get a kill each. Dan low on HP. All the cameras have been shot down. Fire in from below. Bibu is still alive. He walked in before, went out for the run. Was able to find one that was joystick on the Jackal, but it won't be enough here. Still the advantage for Team Empire. Dan, again, very bit of sliver of HP. He'll be dropped with a single stray bullet to his body. Geomine spotted, and the Legion as well. 12 seconds left. We'll have to go the pickup here on Dan. Empire need to push ASAP, but Bibu's toying with them. Scyther just taking a lot of damage. Bride with a shotgun on one. Karjeka with a refrag onto Bride. Scyther is unable to hit his shots. Diffuser is still going down. A triple kill for Karjeka. Try to run in as Scyther will find Bibu. That's it. Empire from the depth of the ocean are able to bring this one back. Now, Cafe Dostoyevsky, our fourth time seeing it tonight. They'll be able to put 7 rounds on the board with 7-5 win. The closest game we've had so far this evening, but oh.
That came...
I'm a tactical operator.
Have you never seen that before?
Yeah, but not in this way, like, not with that zoomed out perspective, not that much.
I thought you were laughing because the helicopter was getting really close.
No,
to
it was just
fence next
hilarious.
To it. That came 1 or 2 bullets away from being a draw. And it got really, really hairy as Bibu was toying on pillars, as you noted, and then just inside of the site, Shepard having to try to get that plant down with Karjeka doing coverage. And honestly, that whole game and the entirety of those 3 points were saved by Karjeka.
Yep.
Karjeka rotating on over, picking up Dan, dropping white stairs, pushing over towards Reading, picking up a massive kill. That's all on Karjeka's shoulders. And he needs a lot of credit for what happened in the final 10 seconds of that round, because at the end of the day, if Karjeka doesn't make that drop, if he doesn't get Dan up in time, then it's very likely that Vitality hangs on, and Shepard doesn't have an opportunity to begin his plant, and somebody from Vitality is able to stop them all.
Yeah, it just spirals out of control at that point. But we have an interview lined up, so let's have a quick chat with Team Empire. Привет, Daniel Joystick, how are you? Как дела?
We are fine. Нормально. So good.
So, it's pretty impressive to see you back in here. Again, Empire is the Pro League champion, but you very much struggled against Vitality. What was going on there for you?
Yeah, they are a new team for us. We don't practice versus them a lot, so they are playing Pro League before, and they are a really experienced team, so they are really good. And this is a new map for everyone, and it was a little bit risky to play this map. Yeah, but we try, and it was so many close rounds on this map.
Yeah, that end round was very close, to say the least. It was saved by the end by Karjeka, but Mozzie was picked up by your team a few times there, and it was very interesting to watch how effective it was. What was the mindset behind playing the operator, and how was it really built into the strategy for you?
Valkyrie was banned on this map, so we need to play from info, and it was Mozzie. He have drones, he have C4, he can play below and roam, so it was a good operator in our situation.
That worked out pretty well. I don't know about you, but if you know how many times you were actually able to grab a drone and pilot it, because we can have, like, we can't track the number, but I don't know how effective that actually was from your perspective.
I think it was so important for us, because in the end of the round, Karjeka just go up and drone everyone, and we have info about everything, so I think it was really good.
Okay. It was pretty darn good then, and we saw it in a couple of specific sites, especially on the top floor. It was used very effectively by yourself. Now, it was very difficult for you to kind of get into the momentum on the attacking side. Vitality really were able to bring it back. Now, I want you to just guide me through the last few seconds of the final round, because it was very chaotic.
Yeah, we just, in the last round, we want to push the side, because we know that we killed Echo, and we have info about the last one, so we just know everything, but everyone don't want to push, because it will be his mistake if he push. So, and Karjeka just push and kill everyone, I don't know, he's the best.
He definitely is there, and even Parker was like, you know what, that entire round rests on Karjeka's shoulders. He definitely outplayed there, and credits to Vitality, because they weren't peaking against you. They were forcing you to attack them. And that's something that shines in their experience in Pro League. That's not something that you learn overnight. But
yeah, but we watching their games, and the Vitality is really passive team. In attack, they're just holding angles like 2 minutes, and then they try to do something, just breach the walls or like that. And in defense, the same. You need to push them to do something. So they're holding everything.
Now, what do you think about Cafe in general, since I assume you watched the last 3 matches that we have today that were also in Cafe? How's things going around with this match in particular and in scrims in general?
Yeah, I think it's a good map. It's a really good experience, and I think everyone liked this map. So we see 3 maps or 4, I don't know. Yeah, it's good map.
Well, probably we'll be seeing more of it then. But with that said, again, Daniel, thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations again on your tight victory versus Vitality, a 7-5, and you're still world champ. Well, Pro League champions at this point. World champions, that's for later. I won't go get ahead of myself. Anything you'd like to say to the Empire fans out there?
Thank you all guys for cheering, and good luck to everyone. Good night.
Okay. Thank you very much, Daniel. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.